and welcome back to my channel, Adisa Talks. Now today we're actually going to be talking about implantable sensors, which includes mechanical sensors, electrodes, drug devices, you name it. So let's get started. So, as I said, today we're going to be talking about implantable sensors, and these include pacemakers, electrodes, as well as even mechanical sensors. Now, pacemakers are used for basically monitoring or resetting a heartbeat. And one of the most vital application areas of the molecular sensors is basically the measurement of activity in the specific human body. And among such tools for biomedical sensing applications, implantable sensors kind of raise a unique problem regarding the design and realization of device structure that fulfill the requirement for the use of the human body. Now, some of the advantages to using these implantable sensors is that they kind of enable self-monitoring systems. They provide real-time feedback, and treatment are quite cheaper. So in this chapter, we will describe implantable molecular sensors and the different related devices. Now, pacemakers kind of consist of two main parts: the electrodes that are attached to the pacemaker and the pulse generator. Now, the electrode of the pacemaker monitors the signal's frequency in addition to other waveforms that pass this information to the computer in the pulse generator to kind of determine the patient's heart rate and rhythm. And the electrodes typically tend to be conducting materials such as platinum, titanium, gold, and other different alloys. So when the heart has an abnormal heartbeat, the generator kind of sends an electrical signals to the heart to reset the heartbeat rhythm. And there are two main types or two categories of sensors: activity sensors as well as metabolic sensors. Activity sensors kind of draw a relation between the patient's physical activity level and heart rate. The most old and the most common, but the activity level can be measured by various things, including a piezoelectric crystal that kind of recognizes muscular pressure waves, and an accelerometer that identifies changes in posture that corresponds to physical activity. So these sensors can be located in either the pulse generator and the chamber or the electrode tip, and they will provide a rapid response to the body's need to pump additional blood because they directly measure physical activity. Now, metabolic sensors measure QT interval, unit ventilation, and peak endocardial acceleration. And these sensors kind of help adjust to physical and mental stress requirements. And they also measure ventilation rates based on change in the resistance. Now, there are different types of pacemakers, which you can definitely Google and even read about in this chapter. But recently, pacemakers patients kind of experience a major effect from electromagnetic interference. And this company called Medtronic kind of invented the first cardiac pacemaker that was usable with many MRI environments. And as you know, MRI is a critical diagnostic tool in today's clinical environment. And until now, pacemakers patients were unable to kind of undergo the MRI diagnostic of medical conditions. Another major breakthrough in this specific field is the invention of a wireless transmission of data collected by the pacemaker directly to the clinician without patient interaction. Now, there are different types of implantable electrodes, but as you know, the key element in electrical sensing is the electrode that kind of transduces signals between electronics and living tissues. And electrodes for biomedical application can be characterized as non-invasive as well as invasive electrodes. And non-invasive electrodes are surface electrodes that are applied to the skin of a specific person. And invasive electrodes are implanted adjacent, around, within a nerve, muscle, or tissue. Now, there are different designs for these type of electrodes, but you should know that basically these electrodes are used for sensing and actually stimulating, and they detect electrically active cells such as neural cells, muscle cells that generate small current in short spikes that are called action potentials. And so the metals that are actually used, which are actually pretty biocompatible to the human body, are gold, platinum, titanium, and iridium. Now, the other types of implants are neural implants. Now, neural implants kind of aim to create a neurotechnical interface to a human being. And to achieve a bidirectional flow of information to either record neural activity or perform nerve or muscle excitation, the electrodes use electrical stimulation. So, microprobes are actually effectively used in the recording activity in the brain. It is useful because doctors are able to kind of learn more about the nervous system and develop valuable treatment for various diseases. And the cool thing about these neuronal microprobe electrodes is that they're actually made of silicon. Another types of implants are cochlear implants. And as you know, cochlear implants is basically a device that provides a sense of noise and sound to patients who are profoundly deaf or maybe are suffering from hearing. And these implants are basically in a form of an implantable device where they're made of a microphone that kind of picks up the sounds from the environment, a processor which processes the sound signals and selects the information to be sent to the electrode, a transmitter and a receiver that are used to basically transmit the signals to the stimulator, which generates electrical impulses, and an implanted array of electrodes which stimulates the different region of the auditory nerve. Also, another type of implants are retinal implants. And as you know, many people kind of lose vision due to basically age related macular degeneration, retinitis pigmentosa. But the neurons in the retina that receive electrical signals from the photoreceptors might still be activated by electrical pulses. In this way, then the implanted electrode array can produce the sensation of light to a blind person. And so, something that we could be thinking about for improving these retinal implants is basically having an integration of a denser array of microelectrodes to stimulate more neurons, or maybe having flexible electrodes array which are capable of simulating the inner retina. Now, the other type of sensors are heart blood volume sensors. And these basically determine the heart flow in real time of a specific patient. And so, real time in vivo measurement of pressure and volume within the left ventricle kind of provides a framework to kind of understand the different cardiac mechanism that is happening. Another set of sensors that is used for monitoring glucose level are called continuous glucose monitoring sensors, which allows to determine how the glucose level kind of react to food intake, insulin dosing, physical activities, etc. Now, there are different types of implantable sensors, and that includes also mechanical sensors. And mechanical sensors kind of include pressure sensors, piezo-resistive pressure sensors, as well as maybe transduction-based sensors. So as we know, pressure sensors can vary drastically in technology, in design, in performance, and different application, as well as even cost. But with the proliferation of different catheters with multiple lumens, There are three main technologies that have emerged on the market for the use as blood pressure sensors based on piezoresistivity, inductive capacity, and optical transduction. The common feature of all of those pressure sensors is that they convert pressure to deflection of the mechanical element. And for the most part of the measurable range, amount of deflection is directly proportional to the applied pressure. Now, a type of mechanical sensors are piezoresistive pressure sensors. And these are commonly used for in vivo monitoring of blood pressure and are made of silicone. And these sensors are actually positioned on the tip of the arterial catheter. And the catheter is just a tube that can be inserted in the blood vessel or the blood cavity. Now, these sensors are actually mounted on a diaphragm, and for thin diaphragms and small deflection, the resistance kind of changes is linear with the pressure. And so there are also other types of piezoresistive pressure sensors, such as catheter-based pressure sensors or silicone piezoresistor-based sensing or sensors. The other type of mechanical sensors include capacitive sensors for implantable pressure sensors. And capacitive sensors kind of employ a parallel metallized plate as capacitors and measure the change in capacitance. And the main advantage of actually using capacitive-based sensors over piezoresistive pressure sensors is that they have a high pressure sensitivity and decreased pressure sensitivity. However, these capacitive pressure sensors kind of suffer from excessive signal loss due to the capacitance. And some of the examples include optical transduction-based pressure sensors and piezoelectric pressure sensors. So, enough with the electrodes and the mechanical sensors. Let's talk about drug delivery devices. Now, as we know, drug delivery systems have actually been designed with an array of microreservoirs that are etched into silicone. And each of these microreservoirs is then converted with an individual gold membrane and can be filled with either solid or liquid drug dosage. And one method to kind of dispersing the drug is electrochemically dissolving the cathodic gold membrane using chloride containing solution when the voltage is applied. And an effective drug delivery device is kind of made up of a microreservoir, drug depot, a micropump, valves, as well as sensors. Now you're actually wondering, are actually good drug devices out there? Yes. There is a device called the IRD, which is a device developed by the MIT. And this device actually looks to release a bolus dose of drug into a patient when certain target symptoms are detected. And the principle is that heating of a liquid kind of increases pressure and causes basically the membrane to burst. So this quick heating releases drugs as the membrane are not selectively activated, but rather quickly and in bulk. And the actuation layer of the device is important to kind of achieve the desired rate of the drug. Now, this device has good potential application, and it could be used for patients or individuals suffering from cardiac arrest, strokes, and epilepsy. But this is not the only device that was developed by the MIT. Another device called microchips is actually a drug delivery device that is basically has multiple reservoirs placed on a microchip. And the device is implanted into an individual and can be remotely controlled to kind of slowly release drug. And the device could be programmed to open certain wells over varying period and different frequencies. So devices and making them is not the only thing that we should be thinking about. Energy and how to power these devices is an important factor. So in terms of energy harvesting for implantable devices, batteries are usually used. But as we know, internal batteries have the disadvantage of duration of power supplies because it is often limited by the capacity of the battery. And in order to kind of maximize the lifespan and minimize the total volume of implantable devices, batteries with actually a high energy density are actually sought after. So presently, lithium ion based batteries kind of provide this maximum advantage for implantable application because it has a high energy density. Lithium batteries are not the only research interest right now. Biofuel cells have made a big breakthrough. And though they're not as good as the conventional lithium ion batteries, but the advantage of biofuel system are that it can actually provide a constant energy density that is derived from an ambient sugar present in the body. Pretty cool, right? So, the end of this chapter kind of talks about regulation of medical devices. And maybe some of you know or don't know, but FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration, is actually known for that. And so, FDA, which is Food and Drug Administration, is responsible for basically protecting public health through guaranteeing the safety and effectiveness of food, drug, medical devices, biological products, etc. And so, the FDA has to approve medical devices before they're actually placed on the market. Now, there are different methods of actually classifying medical devices, and this is by putting them into different classes. Class 1 devices are not meant to help and support or sustain life, but Class 2 devices are actually meant to be used without causing injury to the patient. And Class 3 devices are those that actually support and sustain human life or potentially have a higher risk of illness or injury through use. After classifying these devices, regulatory control has to be made. And so all classes are kind of subject to a general control, which includes Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3. But Class 2 devices actually require special control because they're meant to be used without causing injury. And Class 3 devices actually require pre-market approval because these products and devices could be used in hospitals, at home, etc.
Learn a little bit more about implantable sensors. So I hope you guys learned a little bit more about implantable sensors, drug delivery devices, the FDA, and different processes. And this concludes the last chapter of this book. I hope my series was as informative as possible. And if you want more information on anything I talked about in these chapters, I'll link the link down below of the actual chapter so you can actually read it and check it out. But until next time, thank you so much guys for watching. For any of you guys that clicked on the video, this is my first time actually making a video, but I really do appreciate it. Have a good time. Bye.